And I was like, okay, well, what is it? Is it like stunt guys? And he's like, I don't know, it doesn't say. And so we put together a routine of flipping and kicking and whatever. And then I went to this, it was a cattle call, you know, that they're having all over the place. And so when I got there, there's like thousands. And Karen was there, and Steve was there. There's thousands of people there.
All the same audition, which is
all
great.
the same audition. And just a big long line of people. And they brought us in. First, it was like based on looks. Like they bring you in like 20 at a time, and then they're like, I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but it's like, okay, you, and you, stick around. The rest of you go home. And then you would go in a different line and wait there, and then you would go in and show off. And in the clipping, it like you had to be a dancer or a martial artist or a gymnast. Like you had to have one of those. Now it's a little different, but. And so they brought us in. So the second audition was to show off what you could do. And I was a martial artist and I could flip a little bit. And so,
a lot of it, he's lying.
I do some stuff. But anyway, so I did my thing, you know, and I had sweats on and everything. I felt pretty good about it, and I just did my thing. And then they gave us a monologue. And then they said, all right, come back in a couple hours, and then we want to hear you read this stuff. And then so I went home. And I changed into my jeans, and at the time in Texas, it's cool to wear tight jeans. I guess it's cool now too, I guess, if you're
Practice that.
Right, but so I put my tight jeans on, and I couldn't kick higher than my knees in those jeans. And so, I thought, just a monologue. So I came back and I did my monologue, and they were like, okay, can you show us that kung fu stuff you did? And then I was like, I don't know if I can do it. In my head, I'm like freaking out, you know? And then there's basically like a table, and then, they had like Katie, like a female. She was really sweet. She was smiling and looked really nice. And then everyone was just dudes like this. And so I was scared. So I just looked at her, and I did my routine. I pushed as hard as I could. I barely made it through it. Like I couldn't backflip. I threw my hand up to catch myself as I went over.
Did you rip your jeans?
I didn't rip my jeans. I just kept going, And but after every little thing, I looked at her and smiled because I thought at least she's like nice looking. And so I just kept looking at her and smiling. And then I stopped and I finished, and then they were like, okay, thank you. And then so I was like, oh, I guess that's it. And so I went and I registered for college. And then it was like a week or two later, I get a phone call from my brother.
4 days later.
Was it really?
Within 4 days.
Okay, so it felt like a week or two. Because I registered, I was in the storeroom, and I was like with some other dude, he's like complaining about like life, and I was like, I'm gonna end up killing myself. And but then I got the phone call from my brother. It's like, hey, they want you to come to California and audition again. There's another process of auditioning. There's a lot of half Asian dudes and Asian dudes that I was auditioning with. And there's like a smaller line of like 7 Hispanic guys. And then the same thing for you. It was like the races, they separated us. And then they started to bounce around the colors a little bit. And then Saban brought.
Do you remember?
Then we auditioned together.
Yeah. They put us all in a room together, and I actually got to see them audition. But this was like one day, but this was like the 4th time. Like we were exhausted, we had to do it all over again. And then they put us all in a room, like 20 people, and they go, you, and you. You get the part, and we're like, yeah! And the people are crying, and back to us, we're like, oh,
But see, the other thing is, I remember Jason Frank brought somebody in, like one of his students or instructors, and I was like, dude, that guy's gonna get it.
We kicked his ass though. The guys were amazing. I saw their audition, and they were amazing. But Jason did have a friend there.
Yeah.
And Dan Southworth was
Southworth was there too. He was auditioning for Adam.
Yeah.
And then eventually he got, Quantum Ranger. But anyway, so then Saban brought us in individually. And then you had a manager, I didn't have anybody. And then he laid down this like phone book in front, it's like boom. They're like, all right, sign this. I'm like, oh, okay. But then he was like, you're going to make me millions. I'm sitting there in front of him, right? And he's like, and you will make some money. He's like, are you okay with that? He did. He full on said that to me, and I was like, dude, I was working at Taco Bell and Subway before this. I think I could be all right with this. And so yeah, signed it. And that was it. And then next thing you know, I didn't go home.
We did.
I didn't have food. I didn't have anything. Actually, I nearly literally died one day, like over a weekend. And then Karen like called me, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm starving. She's like, what are you looking?
And I'm cold. And he was like,
I didn't have it. I had,
with no blanket.
yeah, I had like a, I had a backpack of clothes that I came with or whatever, and I was using that to like cover myself to sleep in. And I had no food, no fridge or anything.
And then he comes to my apartment, I have a whole apartment full of
She had a fridge. She had food. Like it was like all set up. I was like, that's why you have a manager. Anyways, that was a long story. Sorry, I should have made it. There's not a short version of that. Don't ask questions like that.